Okay, it's winter in Miami and I'm fucking freezing. Usually winter in Miami is actually really nice. It's like LA weather if you guys are familiar with, for those of you who are familiar with LA weather, meaning it's like high temperatures like 70s Fahrenheit, 80s, low 80s at the highest typically, but there's very little humidity. And humidity really is the big factor, I think, with heat, especially in Miami. Because like the summers here, even if it's 75 one day, the humidity in the summer is so oppressive that it's just like uncomfortable. But winter here is really nice because there's very little humidity. But then you have 1 week or two in winter here where it goes down, it dips to like the low 60s, and hence why I'm wearing a jacket indoors, because there's no like proper heating systems here in Miami since it's rarely an issue. Anyway, what I want to talk about is age and people lying about age when it comes to dating. So I don't know if I've told any of these stories before, but since moving here, there's two guys, one of them a year ago, the other one when I first moved here 2 years ago. Both guys lied about their age to me when getting to know them. And I don't know that that's ever happened before moving here. Like, I don't know that before moving to Miami, I ever encountered that. Like, guys clearly lying about their age out of, I guess, shame or insecurity that they were getting older. And my whole thing is, it's so silly because you're either attracted to somebody or you're not, right? Like, if you physically have a chemistry with someone, suddenly finding out they're actually, let's say, 5 years older or just a few years older than they really are isn't going to change anything, right? I mean, if age is a huge thing for you, like you're like, I can't date anybody older than, I don't know, 40 or something, like you're going to know when you're interacting with the person physically if you're attracted to that, like if they're too old or too young for you, right? To me, age is just a number. Like, I'm either into you or I'm not. And so these two guys that I dated at separate times, I basically found out that they had lied about their age. And lying on an app is one thing, like lying on a profile is one thing, on Tinder, Bumble, whatever. But these are guys who lied to me in person about their age, and I found out their real age like a few dates in, because I basically caught them in a lie once they told me they told me their age again, or they told me the year they were born, and I realized like the math doesn't add up. In both cases, these were older. One of them was like 5, 7-ish years older than me, so it's not like he was that much older than me. The other guy was, I think, about 20 years older, and I was just so turned off, not because of the age not being, not because of the age difference, but because of the inability to be honest and authentic about one's age, especially if you're old enough to, like, frankly, be my father. Like, if you're 20 years older, if you're 20 years my senior, to seriously date you, I would need you to be honest and authentic about your age. Like, to me, that's basic, like, decency and respect. Like, if you're trying to get to know somebody and you genuinely are trying to date them and maybe build a connection, how do you expect to, like, develop trust if that early on you're deceptive about something that to me is so insignificant? Can I understand that people are insecure about their age? Of course I can. But I feel like, again, if you're trying to develop a connection with somebody and you can't be honest about something so objective, it's not your political beliefs, it's not your religious, like, age is it's not up for debate. Like, you have been alive for this long, and all of us have been alive. We all have a number when it comes to age, and it's only going to keep increasing for all of us. Like, maybe I just think about it too logically, but my whole thing is, like, why be ashamed of something? I'm sorry, to me that's just a turn off. If you can't be honest about your age, to me it's not the right fit, because that's not the kind of insecurity that I want to attract in a partner. There's certain things we're more flexible about. Not everybody's confident about everything, but for me, that lack of trust, that lack of, like, being able to trust you that early on is a huge turnoff. And for both of those guys, that for me was kind of like the deal breaker. Like, there were a few other things that were turnoffs, but that was kind of like the clear sign that, like, this is not meant to be. So anyway, those two guys, it was a while ago, but it always just kind of struck me like, it's almost like catfishing to me. Like, why would you put such a deceptive perception of yourself out there? Because the truth always comes out, right? And it's funny because I recently met this girl socially, and she told me straight up she does the same thing. She's like, I'm 40 years old, But on my profiles, on my dating app profiles, I say that I'm 32. And we had been drinking, so I kind of had a visceral reaction, especially because I've had those experiences that I just mentioned with those two guys. And I was like, I literally said, you can't do that. Like, you can't lie about a detail like that, because it's like you're manipulating somebody. Like, you're trying to manipulate them into being attracted to you. But it's like, at a certain point, you have to let people choose what they're attracted to or not. And what's crazy to me too is, like, if you are afraid that somebody's not going to be attracted to your authentic self, so you'd rather lie to get their attention, isn't that an issue? Like, don't you want to attract somebody who likes you for you? Like, I would not want to date somebody who judges. Actually, I've seen this before in profiles on dating apps. People are like, nobody above age, I don't know, 30 or whatever. And I'm so turned off by people presenting themselves as like, these are my restrictions. Obviously, we all have our restrictions. I've talked about a million deal breakers for me on this channel. But when you present yourself to the world on a dating profile, it's really interesting psychologically what people share about themselves. And you notice that a lot of people off the bat are setting up like walls. Like, you need to be this X, Y, Z. Instead of coming from a place of, this is what I like, this is what I enjoy doing, this is who I'm trying to attract into my life. It's very interesting how some people see it the other way and they're like, this is who I'm not trying to attract. And I'm somebody who I'm very sensitive to being aware of how people present themselves, that first impression, what that says about somebody, that off the bat they're thinking about what they don't want to attract instead of what they're trying to attract. You know, it's like sometimes less is more. Like, you can have your own sort of reflexes in your mind. You're going to see whether you're into somebody or not on an app. Like, you don't need to share all these details, right? So I was trying to explain to this girl, do you really want to attract somebody who otherwise wouldn't want to be into you? Like, don't you want to attract somebody who wants you for you? And I think she's just going through that period, and maybe this is how those two guys felt that I mentioned earlier, where it's kind of like they feel like they're on the final stretch of dating, like this is their time to meet somebody or else it's never going to happen. And the thing is, when you have a fear-based mentality with dating like that, and you come from a place more so of like anxiety and desperation, I guess you feel like maybe nobody will want you for you. And again, my reaction to that is like, if I was in that position, I would be like, I need to stop dating. I need to focus on me and being mentally healthy. Because my whole thing is, if I were a straight man and I found that out about her, I would instantly be turned off. Because I'm like, I don't want to attract somebody who still hasn't done the work to just be content with who they are. But I guess if you're in a place where you don't even think about that, like it's like insecurity to the point of like, you would rather be in a relationship just for the sake of not being alone than doing the work on yourself. Like, my mindset is to be secure first, feel good about myself, and then find somebody to complement my life if it gets there. But I guess maybe these are people who, maybe it sounds judgmental, but I feel like these are people who haven't done the like spiritual work or like the self-help work to recognize that there's something broken there that they want to fill a void, as opposed to just be full, complete as a person, and then maybe attract somebody. But to me, it seems so clear that even if they find the perfect partner, they're going to end up fucking it up because something in them is not fulfilled on their own. Of course, I can understand that, people reach a certain age and they're afraid of being alone and all that stuff. But for me, I'm also like, there's so much more to life than dating. Like, if anything, to me, it sounds riskier to put everything into one relationship, because what if something happens to that person? Or what if you get divorced? Or that person cheats on you? Or that person gets hit by a bus and they die tragically? Like, you should have fulfillment. It's like that saying, putting all your eggs in one basket. You should have your eggs in a bunch of different baskets so that you find joy and fulfillment from other things, and that you have other relationships in your life, friendships, family, colleagues, whatever, that bring you fulfillment, so that you're not putting all the weight into one idealized relationship. Of course, everybody wants a life partner, and well, maybe not everybody actually nowadays, but a lot of people want a partner. But I feel like people have this like mythic view of what it's supposed to be, And is that possible to obtain that fairy tale? I think it is. But like, why would you be deceptive in that? If you really want to attract something incredible, I don't understand how somebody doesn't realize that being deceptive along the way is a sure way to fuck it up. What do you guys think about this?